Still looking for my first deal. And my win is actually what I'm seeing on my Facebook page is that because we've been, loving each other's things and commenting on them and things like that, I'm seeing a lot more things reach outside my sphere and people commenting and liking and things like that. So the experiment seems to be working and very, very happy about that. Challenge today is to get people into my open house despite the gloomy weather and see if we can't get something going there with some leads.
How many signs you got out, Dan?
I have 4 out.
Okay. I think there's a direct correlation from the number of signs that you can get out and the number of people that show up that don't have an agent. Why might that be?
Because they're out driving around looking at houses.
They see the sign, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't get directed to you. Like there wasn't an agent that gave them a list. So love that. And I am so excited about the social media. Now, let me ask you, is anybody else seeing that with everybody sharing with everyone? Are we seeing a lot more activity on our social media? So what do we need to do to make that continue and grow?
Keep on liking, keep on posting.
It's consistency, right? We have to be consistent. So just because it's working doesn't mean we stop. I'm so excited about that. All right, Miss Melissa.
I am Melissa. I have had my license since April and I'm loving it. I have a little bit of a challenge that I wanted to ask your advice on. So my house that closed, we had the picky inspection response, that we've talked about 1,000 times. Well, my homeowner is pretty upset by the condition the house was left in, like dirt, dead mice, stuff like that. And also the way that they fixed some of the problems. So my advice to her was, because they propped up the subfloor with a joist or whatever. I was like, well, we asked them to fix the problem, so we can't do anything about the way that they chose to fix the problem because the contractor did it. So just want to make sure that I did that okay.
The other thing is that, did you do a final walkthrough?
Yes. Should we have not closed because it was dirty and they still had stuff there? Should we have delayed it? Like, what should I have done?
Well, I mean, is it worth delaying? I don't know if anybody's ever seen, if you go back on my Facebook, you can see what my son purchased. The garage was completely full and it took us, 2 days to clear it out, but we wanted to close, right? If we waited on the seller, we might not have closed. And while it's a problem. So here's what I would recommend. So they still have stuff there that they haven't moved out?
So the former homeowners asked if they could come back and get their basketball goal, which they hadn't had time to take out yet. My homeowners agreed, but now she's a little pissed and has said it's conditional upon they need to get all their stuff out before they're allowed to take that basketball goal, and they need to fill the hole.
Okay. So what do you suppose, Melissa, is the easiest way, the most painless way to handle this to begin with?
Yeah. Call. Yeah.
Just a phone call, right? Call the listing agent and just have a conversation with the listing agent. Look, my buyer's really upset because your seller's left a lot of stuff in the house. Probably not the dirt or the dead mice. Like that's probably not something, because she did sign something at closing saying that she accepted the condition that it was in.
Okay.
Right. So that's a problem, right? Because she signed that. If you get to a final walkthrough and things aren't done correctly, then yeah, you have to delay closing, right? Because once it's closed, then you have bought it with all of its warts and bumps and bruises and those kind of things, unless you have agreement in place. Oh, there you got some lighting, Vanita. We see your smiling face. So we've accepted the house with all of its bumps and bruises and dirt and all of those kind of things, right? So we can ask for at closing, in order to not delay closing, we could ask for a reduction in price, or we could ask for a check to be made payable to a cleaning company. I mean, we could try to problem solve before closing. Okay. We can also have a conversation with our seller. Now, I understand this is a big problem for having your house cleaned. I'll tell you what I would do is I'd send somebody over to clean it and I'd pay for it, right? Because that's just what I would do. It would be worth it for me to get the house closed if I paid a couple $100 to have the house cleaned. Some people even give that cleaning for their buyers as a gift at closing, right? They just automatically, it's part of their, remember in Ignite when we talk about value proposition? If you tell your buyers that you're going to send in someone to clean their house, either whatever they like, either before they move in or after they get moved in, whatever they'd like, you're going to send a house cleaner over for them. Is that a value proposition?
Not today. That would be amazing.
Absolutely. So that would be another solution, Melissa, but you want to find the least painful one right now. And the least painful one right now is, I know your sellers would like to get their basketball goal, but they left a lot of other things there too. And the purchase agreement's very clear what they need to take with them. Was this possession at closing?
Yes, and they moved from Florida with all their U-Haul stuff, so they really needed to close. So, and they
So
did the walk through Sunday night. We closed Monday morning. I'm trying.
That's what you would ask her. So the only way we would have been able to handle this is if we would have delayed closing. Was delaying closing what you wanted to have happen? No, it wasn't, right? So now let's see what we can do to solve the problem. And then solving the problem would be what's the most concerning, right? If the contractor, if you got a receipt from a contractor, whether they like how it was repaired or not, it's kind of warranted by that contractor, right? So if something happens and that's not good, then the contractor would have to come back out.
Yeah.
So they're protected there, right? They're protected there because you got the invoice from the contractor.
Sure.
So a lot of times people get emotional and we have to figure out what is it that's really your biggest problem, right? What is the one thing that we could get resolved right now that would make this better for you? Is it getting all the seller's stuff removed? Would that be your number one concern? Well, let me see what I can do with that. Then I'm going to go back to the listing agent. I'm going to say to the listing agent, we got a problem. Your sellers left a bunch of stuff and I know they want their basketball goal. How quickly can you get them there to get all of their stuff removed? Right? Because if my buyers have to have somebody come remove it all, I'm going to have to send you a bill for that.
Can I do that?
To get to the sellers. You can do that. I mean, they're going to have to take them to small claims court to get paid, but you could, but we don't want to
know what kind of communication on the topic is appropriate to have with that listing agent after closing. So I didn't really know.
No, we got a problem. You got to call the listing agent, right? You can't call the seller, but you can call the listing agent. Yes, Vanita.
Could I say something?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Jump in.
The other thing is after each transaction, go through and see what you could have done differently. Since everything is signed, it's hard to unsign it. So if you don't have the budget to have someone come in there, grab some friends that you know are really good at cleaning their house, offer some pizza, beer, Kool-Aid, soda, whatever. Bring your music, hook up your iPhone and say, hey, I need a big favor. As y'all know, I'm really trying to build my real estate business. Can you come and help? And be ready when they need a quick favor for something. And just have them come in. When you're dealing with that's one point. The other one, when you're dealing with out-of-state clients, you have to be their eyes and ears. So next time, and even if they're local, because broom clean and totally clean are going to be two different things because it is subjective. And the sellers probably were under a lot of stress as well, trying to get out, get the closing. You know, we represent the entire industry. So you got to think about the opposite side. Unfortunately, that listing agent fell short, but you have a way to make it right with your clients. Build a bridge with that listing agent and also get your folks in and get more referrals. So just next time, walk through a property before you go in with your clients. So you see and know what's going on, because you could have also caught it before your clients got in there and called her back and said, hey, what's this, what's that? We need this out today. How do we get this done? And make it a we thing. How do we get this done now?
I love that.
I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Melissa, also on the final walkthrough, if there is any concern about structural, let's say you had on your inspection response, there was something structural, you can offer to your buyer, would you like to have your inspector come back out?
Yes.
I tried that. They didn't want to.
Well, then they made the choice, and hopefully, you've got that ready. And then just reminder, I know you're a little upset with how they repaired that. Remember, we talked about getting an inspector back out to see what they think. You might still consider doing that. You might still consider having the inspector come out to give you peace of mind, right? And then you've offered some help, right? Because it's just emotional. Melissa, if they moved from Florida, they packed their U-Haul, they got here, they were expecting
Toddlers.
Cinderella's castle. They were expecting Cinderella's castle after their 3 pages of inspection response items that the seller agreed to repair, right? And now they get here and they're a little disillusioned and they're emotional about it. And I love what Vanita said about we represent the whole thing. Remember, win-win or no deal, but we also have to stay out of the emotion of it, right? So the emotion of it is where we get hung up. All right, Melissa, tell me about a win.
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, the people who are picky, who just those are looking at land today.
Awesome.
So it could be
Okay.
another transaction. So they don't hate me too much.
You got repeat business. Repeat business is definitely a win. I love
Yeah,
it.
so that's a win. And I got some good social media stuff planned and executed for November this morning when I woke up at 5 a.m. So yay.
Love it. Awesome.
Call the contractor back that did the work, because you should have the receipts. You were supposed to give that to your clients. Call that contractor back out and explain to him what needs to be done.
I did. There was one thing they missed, and I scheduled that because she was upset. So I just called them direct, scheduled it. It should have happened yesterday. So I'll check in with them today.
Perfect.
Oh, I love it. Well, you're doing a good job then, Melissa. And unfortunately, sometimes we get these that are just problems. All right, Miss Shelley, what you got going on? What's your win challenge?
I closed 2 houses yesterday that were extremely challenging. They kept getting pushed back and pushed back. So we finally got them closed, but I was there all day. We had 11 o'clock close and then turned around at 12 o'clock close to buy their next house. And I was still there at 4 o'clock and had come and gone a couple of times because the money wasn't funding, but it finally all worked out. So
Love
that
it.
was a win.
Challenges.
Just the usual mess. And so nothing outstanding, just usual stuff. So
I love that you're in the office on a Saturday morning.
well, I have an appointment that I take care of for myself in the mornings, and then I come here and then I'm showing a house at noon. So I find that if I'm here, I'm not messing around at home and throwing in laundry and all that mess. So
Yes.
so yeah.
We don't get distracted. That's
Right.
awesome.
Right.
All right, to Makia, we know what your win was.
Yes.
Give me challenges, dear.
Challenge is just continuing to get things in order. I'm trying to complete my goals, my personal goals, and help my team with their goals and trying to get things in line to move forward with the rest of the year. And so we can finish the year strong and be ready for January. So that's really the challenges because it's so much. So trying to make sure everything is together. So hopefully I'm trying to launch on Wednesday.
Launch
So
your
that's
team?
Yeah, my team, yes.
Your team, I love it. All right, to Michaela, if you and your team members are having a hard time with your GPS and your 411 and you want to schedule your one-on-one
Oh,
next,
I got them done. We're done.
you got them? Okay,
I'm
awesome.
just trying to put on like finalize and complete them, on my end.
I love it.
On what I need to do. So they did their part. I'm just finishing my part as trying to make sure that I am a good team lead and that I am leading them in the right direction. So I'm just working on those things for, lead generating and, social media, just making sure all those things are in line. So, I'm kind of borderline crazy. So I am, and I
wouldn't
know
call
that,
that
but I be
crazy.
feeling like I have to have everything together. So I am, trying to make sure everything is in line. So when I do introduce the team, everything has to be together. So in all the social media and, trying to make sure everybody's social media is set up properly, make sure, all the, they have all their accounts, like realtor.com and HomeSnap and all those things, making sure everything is in line, everything is the same, make sure that we have all our scheduling posts scheduled, making sure all those things. So that's like little
That's
tidbits.
what you're doing. Well,
Yes.
Dustin is here, and I think that's a good segue, isn't it, Dustin? I have said, if you need to share, I have added it so you can share screen. So Dustin, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and everybody else will come back to your wins and challenges in a little bit.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Hi, Dustin.
Hi. We're just going to chat a little bit today about open houses and how they can work for you to as a lead generation source, especially in partnership with your social media. So we're just going to dive right in. This is the system I used for the first 2 years I was in real estate to really help me build a strong base for my business. So hopefully you guys can find some value in it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, come on now, work with me. There we go. All right, so my open house checklist that I follow goes all the way back to the week before you want to hold your open house. So if I want to hold an open house on Sunday, this starts the previous Monday. So, and the reason why you want to get it in front of everybody on social media so they have time to see it. Also, there are different activities throughout this checklist that with consistency, with doing them over and over and over again, they will draw leads from other sources and other places. So we're just going to go ahead and jump in 6 days before your open house. This is when I select the property that I'm going to hold open. So a lot of time when I first started, I would just hop on that resources page on Facebook and say, hey, I want to hold an open house. And people would send me addresses and I would grab onto the first one that came along. And I learned pretty quickly that that's not the smartest way to do it. You want to select properties that are in areas that you want to be a specialist in. You want to select properties that are priced well so that they can attract people to it. Also, you want to attract properties that photograph well too, because we're going to use this as a way to stimulate your social sphere on social media, in addition to attracting people to your open house. So once you select that open house, you're going to have that listing agent get it on the MLS immediately, because that's where the bulk of the people coming to your open house are going to see it. And then I will immediately schedule an agent preview through showing time. So that way the sellers know when you're going to be in the house and you don't run into any surprises showing up a little early and there's a family eating dinner. You don't want to do that. So we're going to jump down real quick to my criteria that I use for the homes that I hold open. We already kind of hit this a bit. Is it priced well? Do you know who has the listing? If you know the listing agent, they're much more likely to say, yes, sure, go ahead and hold it open. Also, in the current market, how long has it been listed? If something has been listed for longer than, say, 14 to 30 days, you should probably take a look into why to make sure that there's nothing, there are no red flags there that are going to deter buyers. And so just real quick, this is kind of what that script would look like once I identify the home I want to hold open. It's going to be a Keller Williams listing because we're the culture here allows for more yeses. And I say something along the lines of, hi there, I was just looking at your listing on 123 Main Street. It's absolutely gorgeous. How would you and your clients feel about me holding it open from 12 to 2 on Sunday? Wait for an answer. I say, after they reply with an answer, I say, all you have to do is pop it in the MLS. I'll take care of everything else. And I'm going to feature the property on my social media leading up to the open house. Every once in a while, you'll get a couple objections. People will pop in and say, oh, we just accepted an offer. I love holding pending listings open The reason why, it's an automatic conversation starter when people come in. I'm able to provide my value as an agent to say, hey, you know what, this one sold really quickly. I knew about it a few days ago. Would it be valuable to you if I helped you get in front of things before they hit the market? Great conversation starter. For the seller, backup offers are gold right now. Things are falling out of escrow quicker than they have in the past. If you can get backup offers for people, there's your value. So just in a nutshell, that's what I look for and how I get people to say yes to me. So real quick, before we move on to 5 days before, what questions do we have about that portion? Perfect. All right, we'll move on to 5 days before. This is when I visit the property to take my social media teaser photos. And what I mean by teaser photos, they all have to take place in the home or in the neighborhood where the home is located, but I am the focus of the photos. So there's selfies, I'm in the forefront. The feature I want to highlight is in the background, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to sell me. If somebody comes along and wants to buy that house, awesome. That's not what my main focus is. I want to stay in front of people. I want them to see I'm working. I want them to see I'm successful. I want them to see that I know the area that I'm in, so that when the time comes that them or one of their friends or family wants to buy a home in that area, who are they going to think of?
You.
This dork being a goof on social media. So 5 days before is when I really put my nose to the grindstone and try to create this plan. And then I post twice a day, every day leading up to the open house. So I try to target around 10 a.m. and around 5 p.m. Those tend to be like peak social media hours during the week. So, and there are ways even, and we can talk about this after the fact if you want to hear tips and tricks, but you can schedule posts on your business page on Facebook to drop whenever you want to. So you don't have to set an alarm to run to your computer at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. You can sit down on Monday, plan it all out, schedule it, and then set it and forget it. So I should have had this pulled up, but I just kind of want to show you an example of what some of these posts look like. So you can see a couple things to remember. We want to attract people to these posts. So a great way to do it is with color. People love color, it attracts them in. Also, people love motion. So if you can create some kind of a short little video, a slow-mo video, a boomerang, anything like that that has motion to attract people, that's going to be the ticket. This is motion, but this is a good one.
I love it.
So I don't play piano, none of that. I walked by this room and saw just a random piano sitting against a wall, and I said, all right, a buyer is not going to want to have to deal with that. So this is my PSA to the world, like, hey, if you have a piano in your home, work on a way to get it out of there before you transfer ownership to someone, because they're not going to want to deal with it. I got so many hits on this. Mostly people just asking me if I played piano, but it got a conversation started.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the goal here, is to get people talking, draw people in. There's another one.
I like that one. That's cute.
Yeah, this bathroom was phenomenal. So I was like, all right, how do I capture attention and get people to pay attention? I'm like, slow-mo reveal, boom, there I am. So this is the idea. You just want to get people talking, you want to get people to click on it. Now, and I also make sure that the address of my open house and the date and the time of my open house is in the forefront. Like I said before, not so much to attract people to the open house, but for them to see when I'm working, where I'm working, and how I'm working.
So you're doing open houses for your listings and for other folks in the brokerage.
Exactly. The bulk of open houses that I have done have not been my listing.
Okay.
Yep. And you'll see, like I said before, you'll see on our social media, people throwing out, I need an open house for this address. Mm-hmm. Before you say yes, pop into the MLS, do your own CMA, look at the area, make sure that's an area that you want to work in, and make sure that the property is priced well and that it's a good representation of how you would work as a listing agent.
Great idea.
I have something to add to that. I haven't did any open houses in a while, but Also, when I was asking for the open houses, I will go into the MLS and you can see your office listings and you can go ahead and search those and you can pick which one that you're interested in showing, and then you can reach out to the list agent from there.
Exactly. That's an excellent point. And the way to do that is there is an add fields feature down at the bottom. Just search for what you're going to look for is listing office MLS ID. I'll pop that in the chat too here in a second. MLS, listing office MLS ID. And our ID is KWIN. And then you're going to want to put that little asterisk, that little star, because then that includes all of our Keller Williams offices.
I love that. That's great, Dustin, because if you only do what I show you, you can start with your own office listings. That's right there on your homepage, right? On your first page, you can get that, but you're not going to get your business centers, right? So your business centers, like your Fisher's Business Center, if you're in the Northeast office, your Franklin Market Center, a business center, if you're in the South office. So you're not going to pick up your business centers if you don't put in the asterisk, the wild card. So KWIN, the asterisk, and that's going to get you everything that's Keller Williams, including Carmel.
That's right.
That doesn't play with us often, but they will. You can do open houses for the Carmel agents as well.
That's right. There are some stellar agents up there. You'll find out as you start connecting. Okay, so we'll just move on to 4 days before.
I have a question really quick. Sorry.
No.
So I love all your selfies and stuff. So do you put all of those on your business page or do you mix them in with your personal page?
So that's an excellent question. And the answer to that is a little nuanced because it depends on what your activity looks like on social media. So it takes some playing around. I've heard people say both ends of the spectrum. I tried posting on my professional page and then sharing back to my personal. But what I found is I have much more of a reach and much more of an impact if I post to my personal and then share to my professional. So what I would say to that is play around with it, try it both ways and see what gets you the best return.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so before I move on, any other questions about that portion? Perfect. All right, so 4 days before, my open house sign goes in the yard of the listing. So these are not my directional signs. This is just my open house sign telling people this is the home that's going to be held open. My open house signs do have a day and a time on them, but this is not necessary if your signs happen to not have that. You can easily get a little sign writer. You can buy them at the MyBoard office that says open house between blank and blank, and you can fill it in yourself. They're not very expensive, and this is a good way to supplement that rather than having a custom sign made. Also 4 days before, this is the latest you should be planning your social media campaign. If you don't have your social media campaign started here, your impact is reduced by like 50%. So 4 days before, that is the minimum of when you need to start that social media campaign. All right, so 3 days before your open house, we're coming down to the wire here. So this is an excellent opportunity to use this open house as another touch for your database. So I create a simple little email flyer. I either use Canva or I use Designs in Command. It just has a photo of the home, my headshot, open house, blah, blah, blah address from this time to this time on this day. I send it to my entire database. Not in the hopes that they're going to come to my open house really, but just so they see this gorgeous home I'm holding open. Remember me, I'm working. This is the area I'm working in. If you know anybody in this area, this is where I am. That's the goal. And then I will prepare my door hangers for door knocking. Now I have a visual aid here, which is very exciting. Give me 1 second. So these little doodads I made on Vistaprint, and they were very inexpensive and you get to create them from scratch. But there's me. It just says open house. It has my headshot, a little clever thing that says, hey, I bet you know someone that wants to live by you. And then my little tearaway business card at the bottom. The front is nice and glossy, super attractive. The back, though, I've left as a matte finish. And I've left blanks where the home address is, the date and the time of the open house. Because you get a big discount if you order these in bulk. And then for every open house, I just fill in the blanks.
I love that.
Thank you.
You could
Yeah.
also save a little money and not print it on both sides and do labels that you stuck on the back with the information.
Exactly.
I love that. That's brilliant.
We're all about working smarter, not harder, right, Carla?
Absolutely. And cheaper. Got to be cheaper too.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. So 3 days before is when I prepare those open house hangers. I sit and make them all. I don't door knock until the day before. All right. But now we're going to shift to 2 days before the open house. And this is a really important step, guys, because not a lot of realtors out there are doing this. So first of all, I pull any market stats that I think are going to be important to the area, right? So this could be neighborhood information, school zone information, anything you think might be relevant for a buyer that's thinking about living in that neighborhood. A lot of people are doing this. The next step is what's really going to make you stand out. So I walk into the home when I'm taking my social media teaser photos, and I think to myself, all right, if a buyer walks into this home, what are going to be some possible objections that they might have? So I might walk into the backyard and say, if somebody has a big dog, this backyard's a little small. So I think, okay, somebody might need a bigger yard. Or this kitchen was built in the 80s, it's kind of closed off. If somebody wants an open concept, this may not be the home for them. So I take all of that information and I go back to the MLS and I look for active listings that are near this listing that overcome those buyer objections. So there's a home two blocks down the road that's about $10,000 more expensive, but the yard is huge. So that overcomes the small yard objection. So I print out that BLS sheet and I take it to the listing and display it at my open house. So that when that buyer comes in and they say, I just wish the backyard was a little smaller, I say, well, have you seen this home on 123 Main Street that's just listed 2 blocks that way? It's a similar price point. The layout's pretty close to this one and it has a huge backyard. Have you seen it? What a better way to be of value. I mean, I'm not, and I even say this to buyers sometimes, I'm like, I'm not arrogant enough to think this is the only great house on the market right now. If this isn't a fit, I'm not going to force it, but 2 blocks down the road, if you want to follow me after my open house to go take a look at it, this could be the one for you. My first year in real estate, 4 closings from just doing that. From showing them active listings that they may or may not have seen that overcome their objections, rather than just folding when they present an objection at an open house. So if you take nothing else away from that, write that down.
I love that because you got to remember what your goal is. You know, I find that so often people, rightfully so, I mean, on surface feel like they're having an open house to sell that house, but very rarely do we actually sell the house that we're holding open, right? It's just the bait.
Yep, exactly. Well, in my very last point, I'm just going to reiterate what you just said. So thank you so much. I love it. So let's see. Oh, so the day before the open house, this is when we place our directional signs. Now I've heard all kinds of different numbers here. My only rule that I follow when placing directional signs is I want to make sure people can find this house from the 2 main thoroughfares that are closest to the house. Sometimes I can do that with 6 signs. Sometimes it takes 10, sometimes it takes 12. Just make sure that people can find the house is the main thing there. Also, this is when I use my door hangers. I door knock the neighborhood. I go 5 houses to the right, 5 houses to the left. 10 houses to the left, 10 houses to the right. And then if it's a subdivision, I go 5 houses across the way, like across the street. So at most I'm doing 25. And I've just found that those, that distance away from the house are the ones that are most likely to come and visit the open house. Mm-hmm. So then we'll just pop on over to open house day. So this is really important too. The comps that you pulled the day of your open house, pop into the MLS and make sure they're not pending. Because you're going to look like a dodo if you take somebody to a home that could be perfect for them and it's pending and they can't have it. I learned this the hard way. And then also affirmations. You feel silly when you're doing them, but I am telling you, they work.
Yes.
They do. Athletes, they don't just run out into the field and play, they warm up. So when you're in a car getting ready to walk into that open house, warm up. You don't want that first person that walks in to be your warm up, because they could be a $400,000 listing that you just warmed up on. You don't want to do that. Also, just to reiterate Carla's point from earlier, make sure your main focus at this open house is capturing contact info. It is not selling a home. It is not showing a home to someone. It is not getting someone to like you. It is capturing their contact information. So whatever you got to do, whatever you've got to say, whatever value you have to provide to get it, get it. There's an equation to getting contact info. It is what specific value am I providing to them, and what sense of urgency is I'm creating. So specific value plus sense of urgency equals capturing contact info. All right, what questions do we have, guys?
Well, are you going to send these forms to Carla so she can place in our share files?
Of course.
Yeah.
I will happily do so.
Okay. No questions, but I like all of that. I like all of the preparations, and it sets you up to win, and it also helps you become more knowledgeable about the area. So I like
it turns open house into a three-sided lead generation source. Social media, emailing your sphere, and the actual open house itself. Your three lead generation sources right here.
I got a question. If you're doing a subdivision and there are like multiple ones around you, is it the same marketing way to do it with the 5 houses out? Because you might have different sections, or should you attack each one differently?
So the plan stays the same. The only difference is call the managing HOA or the governing board of the neighborhood, just to make sure they don't have any restrictions as far as where you can place your directional signs, what day they can go out, how you can advertise in the subdivision. Stay ahead of it and make sure you don't get in trouble. But yeah, the plan stays the same.
Could you share again how you organize that door knocker? I can kind of see it a little bit.
Sure, and I can actually send.
we want a picture of it too.
If you,
I wrote stuff down, but
Yeah.
I like the concept of leaving the back open so you can use it for more than one. You know, because that's the key.
Yeah.
Is you got to work smarter. You can't design something every week.
Exactly. Give me one moment. I'm trying to figure out how to move this bar. There we go. And I'm going to show you a photo of it because I think I have it on my desktop. Just bear with me for one moment. Any other questions while I'm pulling this up?
You do all this stuff yourself, Dustin, or you got somebody help working with you to help do some stuff?
I've done it myself. It's a little bit of work on the front end, but you only have to create it once and then you just replicate it and use it.
I love that. And that was a point that I wanted to make. So, you know, I have been talking to you guys about your GPS and having your priorities and your strategies for each priority, right? If open house is a priority for you, then having a strategy, a plan, a system around your open house that you do, what's the most important thing to be successful? If we do it once and we don't continue it, what happens?
Don't happen.
It doesn't
So
work.
what do we need to be?
Consistent.
Consistent. We need to be consistent. If you have a checklist, right, then you're going to be consistent. And we talk about lots of things. Dustin's brought some things here about open houses, and I did open houses like crazy. And I wish that I would have thought of some of the things that he was doing, because it was going to make things easier and better. So, oh goodness, there it is.
Sorry, it took me a second, but there's what the front looks like. Also, it's very important, keep yourself out of trouble. This little message right here.
Yes.
Each office is independently owned and operated. Any marketing that you guys send out has to have that message on it.
Put that on there. Okay.
So there's my little tearaway business card. So your neighbor is selling their home. I'll bet somebody comes to mind that you'd love to live near. Make it sound like you. That sounds like me. Yours should look different.
Yeah, my tagline was always, I bet you'd like to choose your new neighbors.
Exactly. Exactly.
So show them the price there. I think that's really a good thing for them to see too, because I'm not seeing a huge number there.
Yeah.
No. And I think I got what, like 250? Yeah, 250 for 62 bucks. It's not very expensive at all. And there are all kinds of promotions and deals always running on Vistaprint. But there's what my language looks like on the back. So even though it's a public open house, people love exclusivity. So I said, as a neighbor, you can get an exclusive look at blah, 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 blah. Because chances are there aren't going to be other people in when they show up. There could be, but I mean.
Or if you're advertising from 2 to 4, you could show up at 1:30.
True, as long as you clear it with the seller.
Yeah. I love it.
Perfect. Any other questions about that open house model, guys?
I like
All
that.
right, everybody thank Dustin and tell.
Oh,
sorry,
you,
Vanita.
You know how you go to different stores and they have the bulletin board where every realtor has their business card. I like this because it stands out. It's bigger than a business card, so you're going to be more curious and look at it.
Yes. Well, and people love what I like to call a call to action. So being able to tear away the information and take it with you is like an action that they can do. People like that too.
I love that. All right, couple people, tell Dustin, what is the one thing that you saw today that you're going to take away, implement in your business in the next 24 to 48 hours?
Well, I just like the whole checklist. I like the whole thing, the whole checklist, the posting on social media. I love your pictures. Especially the little shower thing. So, so that's a big takeaway in itself. It's just like I said, the whole order, the whole checklist, staying in line, being intentional about what you're doing, and posting, and reaching out to the neighbors, and also doing the research. So all of that is a takeaway for me.
Well, and also, I couldn't help overhear earlier that you just became a team leader, a rainmaker. So congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
if open house is going to be a lead generation source standard on your team, a system like this
I was like, I need that. So I
makes it so much easier to hold them accountable.
Yes.
And the truth is, if open houses is not one of your strategies, one of your priorities for your business, this can duplicate into anything that you choose to be your priority for your business. Whatever your chosen lead generation, what you should get from this is that I need to have a checklist. I need to have a system. I need to know it's Monday, what do I do? It's Tuesday, what do I do? It's Wednesday, what do I do? Right? Just like you have a job and I know what my job responsibilities are. You have a job and know what your job responsibilities is. So I love this, Dustin, because you can see the system really simple, and it keeps you on track. Yeah.
Yep. It sure does.
One thing, open houses stress me out completely. So I haven't been doing them. But this checklist system makes complete sense to me. And I feel like it takes away the stress because I know exactly what I need to do to be successful versus, oh, I've got an open house. I got to fit it in between this, and this. So I love this.
And I've spoken with you quite a bit on these calls too. And what I know about you that would help a lot with open houses, just lean on the data. The data is solid. The data is fact. It's not about chatting with another human and trying to force them to like you. It's about leaning on the data and saying, hey, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
That is a strong value point for you, is because the data doesn't lie.
I love it. What happens if you do an open house? You call on a Friday and they say, yeah, you can have an open house tomorrow, and you show up. What's the likelihood of your getting the most of your time out of your time? Now, sometimes it happens, right? Sometimes somebody says, hey, I need to have an open house tomorrow. Can you fill in, right? If that happened, what could you do? Could you take this checklist that you have and figure, okay, I only got 2 days. What absolutely do I need to get done so that I get the most out of my time if I've agreed to do this? Right. So if you have a checklist, then you could narrow it down. You could boil it down if you needed to, right? That's not what we want to always do. But now, Melissa, you're talking about stress. Somebody wants you to do an open house for them tomorrow. Now you know what you need to do, right? You can figure out, well, what can I do quickly that I'm going to get the most out of my time? I love this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dustin, so much. Anybody have more questions for Dustin?
I want a copy as well. This is Vanita.
Okay.
We will make sure you get it, dear.
Yep.
So
And just-
Carla, you'll be able to get it in the PC library?
Yes, it'll be in, when Dustin sends it to me, I will put it in the open house folder in the PC library.
Okay.
And I also have some exciting news to share. I talked to Jessica Riley yesterday, since Dustin's got this right here on his screen right now. Remember, Gene Rivers at the Business Planning Clinic was talking about doing this similar kind of thing and putting one in an acrylic frame in the kitchen and acrylic frame in different parts of the room. So Jessica Riley is part of the concierge service. You can order this. She'll get this set up. So she'll set this up for you as well as the landing page. Now you can use it like Richard Greenfield came and taught us at a workshop a while back, to do it on the front door, right? As people are coming in, you can put it in the kitchen, and you can put it in the kitchen with, a little thing. Remember, he said, would you like a copy of your of the 2022 home buying guide, right? And she's also going to do those as well. So the home buying guide that Gene Rivers talked about, the seller's guide and the investor guide. So your 2022 buyer guide, seller guide, investor guide. She's going to prepare those. She's going to get those ready for you if you it's going to be on her menu of services.
I'm
So
sorry, who'd you say was gonna get those ready for us?
Jessica Riley, you just have to order them from her. That's part of the leverage package that you have with my leverage solutions.
Okay, so she can get those for it, okay.
Just reach out to her and say, I want to order the home buyer guide, seller guide, investor guide. Then you can put this in the kitchen with your thing and say, would you like me to send you that? Now, what have you done? Dustin told you what your number one goal is.
Captured their contact info.
You get somebody scanning these in the kitchen and the bedroom and the bathroom, they leverage, right? The work is done for you. You captured the data.
Mhm.
And if they're asking for you to send them something, what's the likelihood that they're going to give you bad information?
Very unlikely.
Absolutely. I love it. All right. Jessica said her takeaway is create an email to send to her sphere. She hadn't thought about that. So that was a good takeaway.
Yeah, guys, always be looking for a way to complete one of those touches, because there are a lot of them we have to do. So any chance you have to sneak one in, do it.
I love it. All right. Anybody have another question for Dustin?
I like your little, the scan for the contact, the register as well. So instead of doing the paper, you're doing digital.
Oh, yeah.
And with a landing page, it's going to go straight into your
Now,
command.
what-
Now you don't have to do your data entry either.
That's
Okay,
right.
so you're sending them right to the landing page?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing that I found, I did a QR code for an open house I held, and I had very few people who completed the QR code because they were like trying to scan it and look at it and fill it out. And a lot of people told me, oh yeah, I did it. So I had 16 groups through the open house. I only had 8 people scan and do the QR code.
I do have one question, Joni. How many questions were on the form? that they were directed to?
I just asked them to please sign in with the QR code.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, the form that they were redirected to, where they put in their contact info, was it just like a Word document, or?
It was my landing page, which was like, your name, your address, your name, your phone number, and your email. And it was kind of like, thanks for stopping by today. It was just capturing info. It didn't have any other questions.
Interesting. Yeah, we could.
And two, some of it might have been in that it was people were having a hard time getting it to come up, because I also think that was just within the house, it was very hard to get internet. Like I had trouble getting internet, like my 5G to work.
Ah, okay. Well, I always have a backup too. I have like a paper version on me, just in case there's a glitch or something, because I mean, rather than just say, oh, sorry, it didn't work, I guess I can't get your contact info, just always have like a paper version too, just in case.
Okay. And it was the first time I'd ever tried something like that. And I just was not as prepared, I just like, and two, this house was it was a tri-level. So you came in and you had to go upstairs or downstairs. There wasn't any like living room. There wasn't any and the kitchen was in the back. So there wasn't like a central area.
Gotcha.
So I think some of it was the layout of the house made it a little more difficult. Then I think people were like, they kept trying to get stuff up and they were just like, I'm just trying to look at this house. I don't want to.
Just like anything else in real estate, we can chase them for a while, but at a certain point, if they give us 2 or 3 objections, it might be a better use of our energy just to say, have a nice day, and focus our energy on the other open house goers.
Yeah.
You could have the QR code and a clipboard, right? And if somebody said, you know what, I'm not really tech savvy, then just hand them a clipboard, right?
And I think that was kind of my plan for the next open house I did. I just had the sheets on the clipboard, and I got I got better but I recently, which is good and bad, I've had the open houses I've had, people have come with their realtor, which is great. And I totally respect that. And I'm not going to, do anything, but I was like, well, I guess it showed me that I had good, I got the word out good.
Well, you're going to get both, right? You're going to get both. And sometimes you're going to have an open house and they're all going to have a realtor, right? So you guys know, I've said this to you guys before, and I'm going to share it again. If they come in and they tell you they have a realtor, I always say, oh, who is your realtor? I want to make sure I thank them for sending you my way.
Yeah.
And then I write a thank you card. We were talking about relationships. Dustin's mentioned it. Remember, this is a relationship business. So you're going to have a co-op deal with those agents at some point in your career. If you sent a thank you card because they sent somebody to your open house, you let them know they came and you sent them a thank you card, and then you write a multiple offer and they see your name on that offer, what are they going to think? Just whether consciously or subconsciously?
Oh, she follows up.
She's easy to work with, right? She's the kind of person that I want to co-op this deal with. That could give your next buyer that one up. The other thing is, we send a thank you note and we find out that they're not really happy with their brokerage. What does that do for us?
Fills our downline.
Profit share, right? So yeah, but let me ask you a question. If you ask them what their agent's name is and they don't know, what does that tell you?
They're
They don't have
lying.
one.
They probably don't have one. And if they do, they're probably not under a buyer's agency agreement, because then they would know their agent's name.
And that's the open house where I had 16 groups through. Every one of them said, oh, I'm working with my realtor, Susie Q. I mean, they gave me a name.
Yeah. Well, that's fine then. So
yeah.
that you can still make good use of that. You write the
Yeah.
thank you cards to those agents for sending their clients to you. Yes, Dustin.
Well, one thing I will say too, this is one of those scenarios where you will be glad that you stepped into this home and took all of these teaser photos, because you know what? These photos can be recycled for things other than open house too.
Mhm.
I will randomly post photos all the time that are like, hey, this coffee nook is a great way to freshen up your kitchen. It originally was supposed to be an open house photo, but I'm recycling it for other purposes to capture social media leads.
What's your favorite shower curtain color?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was gonna say green.
Yeah, then you post that picture, and then you get people telling you what their favorite
Mhm.
shower curtain colors are, right?
Right.
Jessica Tharp, hopefully not a big giant goat.
Yeah.
Some people here have seen the listing, the big giant goat. So that's what that was a joke. Awesome, Dustin. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you.
excited because that was a lot of new things. That makes me want to run out and do an open house. I'm telling you.
There was a lot of good information. Yes, yes. I haven't done it one in a
That's
while, but I'm
great
like, I'm about to
info.
do this. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, real quick, does anybody else have a challenge you want to make sure we get to today? Because I want to make sure we cover that, and then we're going to turn the floor over to Vanita.
I do.
Tell me, Nakia, what you got going on?
So I got a new listing this
Yeah.
week, but
Congratulations.
thanks. It's tenant occupied, and the tenant is being a pain.
I'm living that life right now, Nakia.
Oh my goodness. And she must have called me 52 times yesterday, the tenant.
Let me
And
ask you a question. Is it on, is it a month-to-month tenant, or is the buyer going to be buying the tenant?
that's the thing. So the tenant is currently not in a lease agreement. But the owner is willing to allow her to stay throughout the marketing process. And then in listing, she wanted to say, hey, it's tenant occupied with a 60-day notice to vacate tenant rights. But the tenant is making it like almost impossible. So she has this time frame that she only wants people to come in. And then at first she wanted me to be at every one. And I'm like, I cannot be at every showing. They're going to come with an agent. So, I got over that one. And then she said, well, can you tell them not to walk on my rug? Absolutely not. Like, I cannot tell them.
Let me ask you a question,
Nikia.
Nakia. What conversation have you had with the seller
About
this situation?
So now she wants the tenant gone. So she composed a letter to tell the tenant that whether the home sells or not, you need to be out by December. So that's where she stands with the tenant at this point. But my challenge is, how do I get this tenant to understand you are not the owner of this home and it's on the market to sell and you need to be flexible. I mean, she's going to make it unbearable.
I think I'm sorry, Carla, but sometimes I've had sellers, I'm sorry, it's crazy, but even some sellers act that way as well when it comes to showing their property, especially when they have, they left all the lights on, they did this, they shut the door, they did, just because they have, they're so set in their ways and don't want someone else in the house or, things like that. And the only thing you can really tell them is that I will submit the request. You can put, shoe covers or whatever at the door, ask them to, wear the shoe covers, and hopefully maybe narrow down the showing times to a couple of, specific days, just because most of the time the property will probably sell within a couple of days. So instead of having it being open up all week, maybe if you do, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, set certain times, and also leave those notes. We know that every agent does not necessarily follow that, but you can try to leave those instructions or even make little signs, please.
Yeah, we told her. I told her that. I was like, we can ask, but there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. So if you're feeling that compelled about your carpet, maybe you should roll it up until the home says, she's like, well, I still live here, and we understand that. However, the home is on the market, and we're showing it. And then it came to, okay, so we compromised with the time frames that she wanted. And then she says, well, I don't have a car to leave. Well, then why are we compromising with the time frame if you still don't want to leave? Like, you know that this is the window that you picked, so now you even have an opposition to that. Well, she wants to be there because her things are there.
So Dustin's got a great idea in
I
the
like that
chat.
one
You want to,
too,
do you want to
yes.
share that, Dustin? Because that's awesome.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been in this position before as well. I'm actually going through it right now. I'm listing a duplex and I have one side where the tenant is being a nightmare. So what I did was I visited the property and I spoke directly to the tenant and I said, hey, look, this is the inevitability of the situation. I understand the frustration, but I want this to be as smooth as possible for you as well. So how about we set a day, one day, where I hold an investor-focused open house from like noon to 4. All you have to do is vacate the property for those 4 hours. I will be there. I will be running that investors open and then just market the crap out of it for the week leading up to it. If the listing is priced well, there's a good chance you're going to get an offer in the market right now, doing a 4-hour investor-focused open house.
Okay, great.
And then Nakia, that's what I did. Because I have a tenant in my current listing. And when we went to list it, mine is a mother and a daughter. Mom owns it, daughter lives in it. So there's no like written lease. So what we did is I said, okay, I set it up. It went live Friday and then there were no showings. And then I did an open house Saturday. And then in my case, I was just lucky enough to get a signed offer by then. So we didn't have to worry about showings anymore. So what I had thought about is doing, okay, I'm doing this open house here. Then if it didn't list, I was going to do an open house Thursday evening. And then if I still didn't have an offer. So I was doing these specific blocks of time.
I love that.
And
The other thing you can
I'm-
do is get a Matterport, right? So you could get someone to come in and do a Matterport virtual tour. That helps as well. So anytime I've ever had an investor property, I always put that Matterport. That way I cut down on the number of people that it doesn't meet their needs. They can't tell from the photos, but they can walk through on the virtual tour. So that works as well. That way they can, because you remember, if you can't see it, you can't sell it, right?
Right,
So,
right.
Yes, Vanita, what you got?
Just a couple of things. You said earlier that tenant is not in a lease. I'm not sure what state you're in, because I'm in the DC, Maryland area, but they're in most likely a month-to-month lease. So go back to the original, the last annual lease before they went month to month, because they're still in a lease and they have possession of the property.
Correct.
There are still some things that have to fall into place. So have a conversation with he or she and the seller based on that lease, because it tells you how things are supposed to work. The realtor lease, the realtor listing doesn't take over. It's second to that property lease that the owner has with that person. The other thing is, when you see a lot of these fears coming out, you have to get into that tenant's odds are. They might have a credit issue. They might be concerned about where they're going next. Okay, so get him or her hooked up with a credit repair person, do a free consultation. I'll give you the name of the guy that I use and work with. He does a free consultation where you go over everything. That way you know exactly what that person is dealing with. There's some other things behind, and she doesn't know you, she doesn't trust you, and she's not ready to tell you. So you got to walk in and say, okay, let me ask her some questions and have some conversation with her to see what it is. Because even once it's sold, she still needs to be able to find another place. Then from there, and all this goes on at the same time. From there, either you work with her on her credit, you package her, like you go into like she's going for a job interview, help her find a place, or find a good a rental agent in your brokerage that does rentals very well, and bring them in. Because then the other thing, if the seller's money is right and they don't have, it's not an emergency sale or a 1031 exchange, maybe they can still sign a listing agreement with you, you have it, but work to get the tenant out first. Then show the property like that. If the tenant is a good tenant, it's been paying her rent and everything like that, that investor showing is really good. Do the due diligence, do the rent rolls and all of that, have all that together for the investor and show that that is a good tenant, and be able to present that in your MLS documents, or do a investor package and see if someone will just buy it with him or her in it. But check that lease first and see how everything is supposed to be done.
Right. Okay. Great.
So
Thank
Nakia, we
you.
don't want to think of the tenant as the enemy. I think that is a big point, right? The tenant is not
Right.
the enemy. And so if we can just problem solve and make it easy for the tenant, figure out what can I do to help you, right? You know, I represent the seller wants to sell this property. Let me ask you a question. What can I do to help you? Right. And if you,
Well, she already
that
asked me, she said, well, I can't buy anything. My credit is bad, but do you only do leases? So I gave her a couple of options to reach out to some, you know, other private landlords, but I don't think she's done anything. I think she's kind of like in denial. She doesn't want to go, which is, you know, understandable.
Fear is real.
Yeah.
And it will immobilize us. You are the professional. You maneuver her lovingly, but quickly and strongly to that next place.
Right. I saw that, Dustin. Thank you.
I got a question real quick on that same thing that everybody's talking about with these tenants and stuff. How far do you go before you decide not to take that listing, or to keep pushing forward? I have the exact same thing as Nakia and Johnny, but mine is worse. It is worse than that. I have the emotionally attached seller and buyer or tenant, and it's going back and forth. And I can't get in there but only one day a week at 9 o'clock on Monday, from maybe a 2-hour period at 15-minute intervals. And it's terrible. And I'm, you know, and I sold her house that's next door to it. I'm trying to figure out, should I keep going on with this? Because my empathetic, sympathetic mind frame to help everybody seems like it's standing in the way. And I'm like, do I get emotionally stressed about trying to help everybody and make a small return for my time?
First of all, you have to ask the seller, how important is it for you to sell the property? Dustin has made a great point over here in the chat. You guys need to go, there's all kinds of good stuff in the chat. So you need to go watch the chat. Vanita has shared her credit repair guide, so you definitely want to go look at that. And oh Lord, my laptop says the battery's low. I don't know. We'll have to make sure we got a copy. So I'm in a hotel room, you know, it's plugged in. You thought it would be all right. No, so, but we've got that, but Keller Offers, right? We have Keller Offers now here in Indianapolis. So Keller Offers could be a good solution, Jay, for both your seller and Nakia for your seller, because they'll Dustin, I haven't taken the class. Can you give them a little overview of what the perks of that is real quick? And I'm going to plug into a different outlet.
Sure, yeah. So Keller Offers is kind of Keller Williams' answer to all of the iBuyers that are out there right now. So like OfferPad, Zillow Offers, all of that. So what Gary Keller has done for us is he's made a deal with our local iBuyers that says, all right, we understand that you're trying to acquire all of this capital, but we want our agents to be a part of the conversation as well. So they've worked out a way for iBuyers to offer on our properties, but still allow us to negotiate on behalf of our clients. So basically what you do is you go in, you get registered for Keller Offers, you take a class that teaches you about how all of the inside logistics work. You become certified, and then you literally just get your seller to sign a permission form. You snap a bunch of photos of the home in its actual condition, like don't spruce anything up, don't use filters, none of that. They want to see the home as it is. Then you send them the photos of the property, and then the cash iBuyers send you offers. It's within 72 hours. There are certain requirements, like they don't do new builds, they don't do homes that were built before, I think
1985.
Thank you. Yeah, before 1985, and they will purchase a tenant occupied home, but only if the tenant will be vacating within 90 days of closing.
And
So-
you can't have already listed the property, right? So
It can't have been on the MLS.
This
at
all
all
has to happen beforehand.
before
So
the
Jay,
MLS.
maybe a solution or maybe an option. So just think about this. If we start including this in the listing agreement, right? Now it's just another option because we make assumptions. Do we make assumptions that every seller wants top dollar?
Yes.
Is it possible that they have other more important priorities in their world than top dollar?
Yes. They just want, some people just want to be done, and they want to be done, and they want less hassle. And
That's why there are wholesalers out there buying it at 60% and people are
Right.
selling, right? So
right.
it's
Why is
out there.
OfferPad and LeadPad? Why do they get deals every day? They don't offer top dollar. They make deals because it's making it easy.
They understand that sellers have other priorities. Yes, Dustin.
The crazy thing though about Keller offers is people are seeing offers come in just like $2,000 to $5,000 under market value. Like they're not undershooting by a lot. Like in some instances, people are getting market value with Keller offers, which is crazy to me,
Yeah.
but they are.
And then to Keller offers, I've been getting it a little bit into it and following the chat in our Southside office. They don't, they're not working in every zip code in the Indianapolis area. So
Yep.
and I have not dug into it enough to see what zip codes they want to buy in and what zip codes they aren't working in.
I would highly recommend that every one of you, and Shelley, I think they're in Louisville as well. I would recommend that every one of you take that Keller Williams or the Keller offers. It's like a couple hours, right?
Yeah. And two, it was a very, very good training. Very to the point, very, like I just did it online. I didn't sit in an actual training class. I just did it at my convenience. So I did some of it every day for a week to get through it. It gave me a lot of great ideas. And I thought the big thing that they talked about is how to make this a part of your Keller offers can just be a part of your listing presentation. Maybe it's going to work for your client, maybe it's not. And so I feel like it's also a way to help start a conversation with people who aren't sure if they want to list, because they don't want to go through the hassle of cleaning up their house, showings, getting their tenants out, blah, 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 blah. So there's just a lot. I just highly recommend everybody do it.
Another side of the coin too, excellent points there. Another side of the coin is you submit a home to Keller offers, an offer comes in that's 30 grand under what you can get for the house. How much of a rock star are you gonna look like saying, hey, this is a decent offer, but if you list with me, I can get you $30,000 more and here's the data to support why.
And then they get to decide, do I want it now or do is it worth $30,000 for me to get it cleaned up and ready to go? Makes it easier for them to make the decision. I love it. You should definitely have it in your listing presentation. You have to have the training first. It is free, so you have to pay for it. Get the training in, then you put it in your listing. It's just like Keller Mortgage, right? Keller Mortgage may not be the best option for every buyer, but it's part of our value proposition that we get gifted by Keller Williams. So include it in your value proposition.
I did the training. It's super easy. I think it's only 2 hours.
Right. You guys, it's totally worth your time. I even picked up stuff just to talk about in general when I'm talking about listing presentations.
Or just to be knowledgeable, right?
Right.
Just to be
And I
knowledgeable
got, like they send you scripts to help you work it in. I mean, all sorts of things.
All right.
iBuyers,
We kind of went down a way old rabbit hole there. But
I
did
know.
you give me some ideas, Nakia, on your challenge? Do
Absolutely.
you have,
Thank you, everybody.
do you have a photographer that does Matterport? Because I do
No.
think that for tenant occupied properties, we don't want to inconvenience them. right? So having that, we haven't been doing a lot of it because of the market we've been in, but I'm going to send you, Nakia, somebody that I know that does that, Susie Chamberlain. I'm going to send you her contact information. And I'm sure if
Okay,
you go on
great.
your resource page, there's probably some other ones out there that do the Matterport. They're not very expensive. And I think it really helps because it lets the tenant know that you're trying to limit the amount of showings. So you're acknowledging their fear and their concern and acknowledging it and moving forward. All right.
Okay, great.
Well,
Thank you.
let's turn the floor back over to Vanita and let's see what you want to tell us all about today.
Okay, I do want to say one thing, Nakia. If you please contact Jonas and do the complimentary call with the tenant. If you find out that she's been paying her rent on time, but her credit score is low, that's an opportunity, and you can reach back out to me. I can show you how to package her, then email that you have this tenant. She is rebuilding her credit, but has always paid her rent on time, and you have a letter from the landlord. Email that to your database because there might be some other folks in your database or inside Keller Williams, other realtors that might have a place where she could go.
Great, thank you.
Okay. This is really a great way to spend Saturday, a Saturday morning, sharpening the saw. What I'm going to bring to you today is something outside of our real estate sales, but actually is very important, and it's mindset. I want to share my screen as well. So hopefully you tell me if you can see it. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me go back. This is ground zero, before your why. I have an extensive background in corporate and government sales. And that means that I've done a lot of training, affirmations, quotes, all of that. But one thing that kicks in is life. And we have to be able to manage that as well. I want to read to you. I'm really big in writing myself notes or writing clients' notes and things like that. But I want to read a note to you that I wrote to myself when I started going through a terrible or really difficult time. And ask any questions. I hope this kind of ties in everything as we go through. And you will have to tailor this to you as I have tailored it to myself. So it says, note to self. Vanita, life is a beautiful journey, but sometimes things are deposited into us that we should not hang on to. We owe the world and ourselves to be the best we can be spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. We put a lot of effort into the physical and financial, but fail to realize that spiritual and mental drives the physical and financial. That was a note to myself. I keep all of them and find them, keep them in different things. I am going to say up front that I am a Christian realtor. That has nothing to do with you. It just has everything to do with me. I have come to realize that I have to be my most authentic self. And I don't tell you that to make you run. I just tell you that so you can understand where I'm coming from. I don't push anything, beliefs or non-beliefs on anyone else, but I do encourage people to find out for themselves. So before I can, in corporate sales, I was really good on the affirmations and things like that. As I went through other life situations, family loss, job loss, financial things with families and friends, I had to reevaluate the affirmations because I still felt they weren't anchored in me. And so I had to come up with something that would help me. Every affirmation we get, depending on what you believe in, what you subscribe to, you can find a way to flip it or redo it so that it works for you. But first we got to get to ground zero before we can do that. So as I go through this presentation, I'm going to show you how to get to ground zero, define and embrace everything about you, face your past failures, question and debunk your negative thinking and thoughts, and then do the custom work so that you become more balanced and are able to be your best self and the best person for your clients. As we know that we do experience life, our clients experience life, and you probably heard me approach some of the suggestions from that standpoint, because we can't always compartmentalize everything. We cannot think that we can take everything in because we're not Superwoman or Superman, and it's not going to come out some kind of way. So if we do the work on ourselves, then what is spilling or coming into us doesn't go out into our relationships or into the work with our clients. So you will understand your core self, expose negative thoughts that you think about yourself, walk and attract the best people, things, and live towards a prosperous life. Remove the masks that don't generate positivity and productivity. Sometimes we have those coverings. We put makeup on as women, or we dress up in our nice suits, our best and everything, but on the inside, we still are going through. Show up in our relationships, whether they're business or personal, and build them vertically. A lot of times we're doing, when it's horizontal, those are surface relationships. To go vertical means we digging deep in, we're getting into our customers' odds are, we're getting into our family members' odds are, what's keeping them up at night. We're at ground zero and building, so we're able to really listen and hear what they're saying and help them. What I'm going to show you, you will have to evolve. It's not something you're going to get to do overnight. You're going to get to a real happier place and understand what it takes to nurture that emotion and those situations in you for yourself, because we got to show up for ourselves first before anybody else will. And then you're going to select the correct affirmations, quotes, or scriptures that resonate with you. What you're going to need is a journal and a pen, a timer. You can use a cell phone, a watch, or don't use a timer. Quotes that you like now, or a book of quotes for some other things, affirmations. I put in scriptures again because my affirmations are scripture based, but that's not what you have to do. But my authentic self has to tell you that mine are scripture based. You need a comfortable and a quiet chair, a quiet place, a comfortable chair, a quiet place. Here we go. So I'm going to show you how to just do this real quick. You take whatever time you want. Okay. Any questions so far? Nope. Okay. So first thing you're going to do in that comfortable chair is really think about yourself. There's some things that we don't tell other people. There's some things that we're going through or dealing with. And excuse me, I'm not looking at the chat. Okay, thank you, Dustin. There's some things that we go through. And I want to say the princess warrior, the prayer warrior, everything as I went through corporate America. Then I had loss in families. I lost family members, my dad, my mom, things that other people were going through. And I found that I would come home crying. I got sick, very sick twice. And those things stick in with you. They become a trail if we don't close them out properly. And they keep going and going and going. Then I would meet clients. I deal with a lot of distressed clients. And so I would have to be in their presence, get into what they're dealing with, knowing that I'm hurting too. And so I just said, hey, I got to get to ground zero. I have to close out my stuff. The thing again is with life, we're going to always have ups and downs. We're going to always be emotional, and we're going to always need to know how to deal with it. So when we show up as a salesperson, as a realtor, as a friend, that we can get through that. So this part, you reflect on who you are and what you like today. Bring out whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, who am I today in the underline? You'll see those areas over there. I first did this exercise through Andrew Weber, and I went in and padded it for me. Who are you today with yourself, your personal growth? Who are you in your family? Who are you with your health? We have been on lockdown, pandemic vaccines, working from home, homeschooling, all kinds of stuff. Who are you? How did you handle that? What are some things that you walked away from now that you're out? And we were essential workers, but we still had to deal with these things. Who are you in your romance, your recreation, your physical environment? Who are you in your career? Who are you with your money? Who are you spiritually in your religion? Who are you with technology or time? Technology is at an all-time high, and really because it's increased because of the pandemic being shut down. Does that scare you? Are you comfortable with it? What is it? Who are you with that? And who are you with your time? You have to fill in the blanks and answer the questions. Any questions so far? Okay. And not necessarily questions, but comments. Okay. Then after that, we're going to scrape off that stuff. In those areas, those 11 to 12 areas, which one are you the strongest in? Which ones are you the weakest in? Are you happy, content, or complacent? What type of people do you need to balance any areas that you're weak in? And you can give it a scale of 1 to 10 as you see on the next one. What type of clients or friends do you want in your business or circle? Okay.
I love two things there. I love the complacent, right? Let's look at where are we complacent? Where are we just apathetic and just not showing up? And then who? I love the who, right? So many times we think we have to carry it all ourselves. So I love that we're looking at the who can help. Who do we need to have? When they say it's we're as successful as the people that, like 6 people that are closest to us or something like that. Do we have the right who's in our life? I love that.
Yes.
One thing, I'll jump in real quick. Something that stands out to me of what was just said, like who do you want to invite into your business as clients? Mm-hmm. I remember the first time I ever had to fire a client, I felt like such a failure.
Yes.
But in some reflection and in thinking about it, like they were draining me, and I was not able to serve the rest of my clients the way I wanted to because of that problem client.
And that energy that we get from other people, it resonates in our body, in our environment. So we have to be very careful. We have to be careful sometimes who we touch, who touches us, what they're saying, words and energy, what we're saying to them. It will vibrate into our mind when we hear stuff. And it then goes into our soul, our body, our spirit. Then it can affect our health. We've all probably seen people that continue to focus on how sick they are, how this, how that. That stuff begins to become a pattern, and it will tear us down. So we have to decide. We work a lot. We go around so many people. There are homes that I have been into where I could just feel all the stuff, and it was not good stuff. I've been in homes where I could feel all the great stuff. And I'm like, oh, wow, I feel like I've known you forever. Those are the things that are balancing me out or unbalancing me. So I can't say when I'm going into a house and all this stuff is going on that I want to not do the meeting. I have to have in my head my strengths, my weaknesses, and quickly pull up what will keep me in that meeting and not have me focus on all the stuff that's going on around the environment. So who are we in these places? thank you all for chiming in. And so what is this page down? Oh, click. I'm sorry. Okay, we did the scrape. Sorry, it's my phone, my mouse. So then now that you've answered that, and you can just use a piece of paper. Sometimes I use paper or stuff like this. And I do, like I said, notes to myself, and I throw it in a folder, and I go back through the folder periodically because it's good to see where I've come from and where I want to go. So now that you've done that scraping off, go through these sections again. What does your life look like? What do you want it to be in 1 year, in 3 years, or 5 years? Or just start with 1 year. Where do you want to be October 30th in 2022 in these areas? You're making an investment in yourself. Are you in those areas? Are you authentic? What type of contributions do you have to make under family? I used to be a daughter, and I miss being a daughter, but I'm not a daughter anymore. I'm a sister, sister to some other sisters. I'm a niece. I have nieces. I have cousins. So how do I show up for them? How do I bring my best self to those relationships? Because no matter what is going on with work, I've come to realize your family is there through thick and thin. I can't invest more into my business relationships, my business clients, than I do at home. Because when stuff hits the fan, my clients have the option to go somewhere else. My family, my blood, they have to stick. They better stick with me. And I have to do the same for them. But if I don't build that relationship with them, just like my clients vertically, they're going to be angry when I'm going through some stuff. They're going to say, oh, now you want to talk. Now you want to spend time with me. So I have to nurture those things as well. That's what you have to decide. For instance, with two of my nieces, we have a timer. I talk to one of them at 6:15 and another at 7, just to chat about their day. They're teenagers. I might need them to take care of me in my later days. I don't want them pushing me around. So I want them to say, hey, Nita spent some time with us. She talked to us, and I find out about them. And then they ask me some questions about me. We do this 7 days a week. Just like President Biden, that was one of the things that was very interesting when they did an interview of his grandchildren. He talks to each and every one of them every day. He calls them every day. I thought that was so cool. But I've been doing this with my nieces for almost 3 years now, and it is very impactful and very healthy for both of us. Are you giving more or less? I kind of touched on that. Has your thinking changed in that 1 year? How do you want yourself to be thinking about other things? It should be at a higher level. Any questions so far? Let me see. Oh, thank you, Melissa and Tamika. I was kind of nervous bringing this because it is different than the affirmations we tend to know. But I think it's vital, especially coming out of pandemic. Then you write your vision. Before we go through this one, I'm going to tell you, through one of my life situations, I wasn't bouncing back. I wasn't that rah, get it done, Vanita. And one night, I had a big mirror at the time in the bathroom, and I'm a Post-it note person. I get the ones that have the most stickiness on the Post-it note so that the steam from the shower doesn't knock them down. And so I looked at all my affirmations, I looked at my scriptures that I had up there, and I just wasn't feeling a part of them. So a voice said, what is bothering you? I could tell I was short with my clients, short with family and friends. And so the 3 words that described me at the time, I was angry, I was fearful, and I was overwhelmed. And so I wrote those 3 words on a Post-it note, put it on the mirror, put the definition of those words. Then I had 3 other Post-it notes that said, what's the opposite of being angry? What's the opposite of being fearful? What's the opposite of being overwhelmed? And then from there, I put that down, how it looked in my life, me not doing this, me not doing that. And then I wrote my affirmation from there, based on how I was feeling. Not too many people know, but my entire family had COVID early on from a family member. We were in the hospital and sick during Christmas. I just really started back energy-wise, the beginning of April to work. And there's remnants of the illness still. I have to take naps, I have to rest, hydrate, things like that. So I had to change my perception. I went to 3 different hospitals. One was so scary, I thought I was in a horror movie. So I had to quickly, without paper, do all that I'm telling you. How was I feeling? One, I was grateful to be alive because the news was showing us how many people were not making it. I was grateful that my family was still intact, but I was scared. And I had to quickly assess, what was I scared of? Why was I scared of it? And put in another word and an affirmation that would keep me to get through that point. As you see, I'm here today. My other family members are here today. And so this works. Even with them, I was putting those words into their spirit each time we could talk on the phone and saying, hey, you got this. This is what's going on. This will set you up. This will put you in a grateful place. You can do this. Just understand, ask your questions, talk to yourself, pray, do what you got to do to not let all the negativity sink in. So record in your mind how you see your future self. I saw myself here at this point. I saw my family alive, happy, and healthy. It's okay to be honest. You have to be honest. Write down the things that you like and love. I like reading. I've been reading. I've seen myself doing different things. We just moved. I'm pulling books out. I could see that. That's what got me through being sick. If there's some things that you don't like as you go through the business part of this, your career part, write those things down that you don't like. Can you delegate them to somebody? Know how much it will cost. Maybe you don't like to do your social media. Maybe you don't like to do your emails. Find somebody that can do that. Maybe you don't like to do your transaction coordinating. How much will it cost? How will you pay the expense? On a personal note, maybe you don't want to cook your dinners. Maybe you don't want to clean your house. Maybe you don't want to clean your car. You want to use that time for something else. Find out those same things. What in your life is negotiable and non-negotiable? Draw that line in the sand. So when you are confronted with people that cross your lines in the sand, you lovingly close that door. If it's a client, you refer them to somebody else. If it's a family or friend, you lovingly back out of that relationship. Make all that you've done, your list, now that you have it, and put it in a smart system to challenge yourself. When will you have difficult conversations with other people? When will you go to bed, start going to bed at 9 or 10? Those are some of my things that I had to start saying to be in my best healthy self. I have to shut the phone down at 9, be to bed by 10. I have some times where I can stay up late, but those are the things that I needed to do in order to bounce back from what my body and mind just went through. Those are things you have to tell and ask yourself. Any questions or comments? I'll check the chat. Oh, thank you, Nakia. Oh, thank you. Now, your action plan. This is where you're going to almost be to the place where you can do your own affirmations. For each new action from the last slide, find an affirmation that speaks to you. Find a scripture or quote that speaks to you. So when everyone else is saying something, you have your own scripture, affirmation, or quote based on what you're going through. Yours might not be, I'm a powerful listing agent. Yours might not be, I'm a great, I can't remember I'm so sorry. I get so excited and passionate about this. I don't know where I put my affirmation page. Okay, we'll come back to that another time if you invite me again. If necessary, find a picture or photo that represents. You can actually make this into a vision board. Now you can create or define your why. That's what we always say in sales. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you in real estate? Why are you helping sellers? Why are you helping buyers? Why are you helping tenants? Why? What's your big why? Now you could do your vision board. Now you're at ground zero and you can start building yourself up. Document one of those areas each month in your calendar and promise yourself that you will work on it. So if it's something for personal growth, I'm in Ignite, or maybe you want to take Bold, or maybe you want to take a class or something else. Maybe you want to take a cooking class, whatever it is, do one a month. In family. And the reason why you're going to do one a month is because you'll build on. So in family, the text I just had, that's one of my nieces. We do different check-ins. We do certain things on Sunday, and I've been incorporating it as we go along. And the reason why my relationship with my family is so important, not just because I love them, but because my parents are no longer here. And I need that anchor because they were so present in my life. So I need that familial anchor. That's my why. And I want to be an anchor for them. That's what keeps me getting up in the morning. That's what keeps me happy, because I love to hear from my family. I love to hear how they're doing. They're even in my command database, and I call some of the extended families periodically as well. You see what I'm saying? Now I can put my why to that. You're done. Review each week to make sure you're on point. Use your point system. You decide if you want to deal with the ones that are 5 to 10 first, or you might want to deal with the areas that are 0 to 4. You decide. Remember to capture any and all negative thoughts. Find out why you're feeling that negative thought. Forgive yourself for any and everything you've done, because life is always about forgiving others and forgiving yourself. If you're forgiving others, that doesn't mean you have to stay with them. Just forgive them. The forgiveness is not for them. The forgiveness is for you, to get that out of you. Because all that negativity, not forgiving, not listening to people, all that other stuff, it will start building up and it will squeeze out the positive things in your life. And then flip the negative thoughts into a positive affirmation, quote, or scripture. Thank you. That's it.
And thank you.
Thank you.
That
This
was
is
wonderful.
good.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
So are we going to get a copy of these slides?
Sure, you most certainly can.
Vanita, if you send those to me, I can share them with everybody. Plus, there's a whole group of agents that don't always make it to the Saturday workshops.
Uh-huh.
This has been recorded. This will be out on the PC website as well, so you'll be able to find it there. But Vanita, that was awesome. I think we all needed a little dose of that. We
Yes,
probably
and I
all need a
needed-
little dose of that on a regular basis.
Yes.
And we forget that, and clients do too. I had one today to text me at 7 a.m. and I laughed. I said, wow, she must think I don't have a life. But I said, I didn't tell her I have a life. But what we have to realize is that we are rainmakers for so many people. And because of the things I went through, I had to become a rainmaker for me first. And you know what they tell us on the airline? Put your oxygen on first, then help other people. And I was the opposite. I was putting their air on first, and then I was barely breathing. So that is how I had to flip it around so that I could be here today and be authentic and be happy in no matter what's going on in my life. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I will get the slides to you.
I love it. Thank you. We love that you're here and healthy and you just exude the happiness. So much. Thank you so much. So everybody, come off mute real quick and thank Dustin and Vanita for coming. And
Thank you,
thank
Dustin.
Thank you guys for
Thank you,
coming.
Vanita.
You both gave
you.
so much both of you gave just so much good information today. Thank you for taking your
Excellent
time.
information.
Thank you.
Yeah,
John.
and I'm glad I signed on this morning. I don't always make every Saturday, but this was really worth my Saturday morning, and I enjoyed the whole session.
This is powerful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Dustin, it was
I
nice
enjoyed
meeting
it.
you. And I want those open house notes too.
I'll make sure we share. I promise. I promise. All right, guys. Well, is there anything else that I can help you with today before we sign off? Anybody else got something pressing, something they're worried about? I will be out of pocket most of the day today. If you need something, you have an urgent matter, text me, or the broker hotline is available as well.
Mhm.
Anything else I can do for anyone? All right. Well, you guys have a fabulous Halloween. Don't forget, reverse trick or treat. There's still plenty of time. You don't have to do a lot of prep work for this. Go to Costco, put your name tag on, talk to lots of people in Costco. You can fill your gap if you have a gap on your conversation goals at Costco. I promise it's possible. Get your full-size candy bars. Joni, you got one handy?
Yeah, I do. Got. When you work with me, it's all treats and no tricks.
Okay, so there you go.
Joni Markle, Keller Williams Realtor, and my phone number.
Love it. Put a business card on it, tie a business card on it with bow, something, right? Go reverse trick or treat. You can talk to so many people tomorrow during trick or treat and
Going up.
Easy door knocking, right? Because
Yeah.
they're expecting people to come to their
Knock on your
door.
door. And also, there's a neighborhood that's close to me that I've been farming and sending letters to. So that's where I'm going to go reverse trick or treat.
Love it. All right. Or
Can
you
we
know,
just
have an
give them
open
out
house.
at our house too as well?
There you go. Yeah. If you got people coming to your house, hand them out. Make sure you got your business cards for mom and dad, a little bit for the little bits. And here's something for mom and dad, and have your business card attached to both of them. It is a free opportunity for lots of conversations. All right. Have an awesome weekend, and I will see you guys Monday morning. And thank you again, Vanita and Dustin. I appreciate you spending your morning with us.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Good
Be
weekend.
safe this weekend.
Yes.